Hi guys, and welcome to this lesson. This lesson is for you if you're doing the IELTS exam or the Cambridge First or Cambridge Advanced exams. Now, all of these exams have a part 1 that is very similar. In part 1 of all of these exams, you need to give some information about you and your life. This lesson will show you a technique and some language you can use to make these answers really high level. You're going to learn a technique for giving more personal information. You'll learn some natural English language to help you use this technique, and you'll use some practice activities to develop ease, which means that you won't feel anxious or stressed. Now, lots of people say that they don't have ideas to talk about in part 1 of these exams. Some people even say that their life is not interesting enough to get a high score. This is not true. Let me show you how you can be open about your life and show ideas that you have inside you already. The key is to be open. And that's what this lesson is all about. There's 2 parts to this lesson. In the first part, we're going to look at a native speaker answering some questions from the IELTS exam that are very similar to the Cambridge questions. We'll think about what she does well and what she could do better. In part 2, I'll show you some language that you can use to get a really high score answer for these part 1 questions. And in both parts of the lessons, there'll be little practice activities that you can perform to increase your score. So let's get started. This is my friend Louise. She's a native English speaker from the south of England. I know this because I went to high school with her, so I know how good she is at English. And I asked her some questions from the start of the IELTS exam. These questions are very similar to the questions from part 1 in the Cambridge First and Advanced exams too. It's really interesting to watch how she answers these questions. They're not perfect answers, as you'll see later, but first it's a good idea to try and understand what she says. So I've prepared some questions to help you understand. So can you listen and find the name of the town where Louise grew up? The word goes with the word swimming and the word table. That's a little clue to help you think about the sound of the word. And answer the question, do you think she liked the place she grew up in? Try to find some information for why or why not. You can listen to Louise as many times as you like. This is not the exam, so these questions are just to help you understand what she's saying. Okay, let's listen to Louise's answers to her questions. In this first part, I'd like to ask you some questions about yourself. I'd like to ask you some questions about your hometown. Where is your hometown?
My hometown is Poole.
And what was it like growing up there?
It was very nice growing up there because there's a beautiful beach and lots of interesting things in the summer because many tourists come to visit.
Now that you've listened to Louise, let's have a look at the answers. We're looking for the name of the town and if she liked growing up there. So the name of the town is Poole, like swimming pool or pool table. The pronunciation is the same. The spelling is a little bit different. We have an extra E on the name of the town. So she grew up in Poole, but did she like it? I think yes, she did like it. Because she talks about the beautiful beach, she says there's lots of interesting things to do, she says it's very nice, and all of these things are very positive. So yeah, she liked the place she grew up in. Now that you understand Louise's answers, it's time to evaluate them and to analyze them and to think, what does Louise do good and what could Louise, and therefore you, do better? Louise's answers are not perfect. There are some good things and some things she could do better. Let's think about the good things first. When we're thinking about evaluating these answers, we need to think about the ideas. Are they relevant? And does she answer the question? We need to think about the expression. Is the expression natural? And we need to think about ease. Does she look confident and relaxed? Is using the language easy for her? So, as she's a native speaker, using the English language is obviously quite easy for her, and she looks relaxed and at ease. That's okay. With the expression, her language is natural. It's a little bit controlled. She does seem to be speaking a little bit like this, but it's pretty much okay. One thing I think that Louise could do a lot better is actually the ideas. Now, the question was about what it was like to grow up in the place where she lived. And she answers that question with some factual information about the beach and about the interesting things to do there. But she doesn't really tell us what it was like to grow up there. I want to know something personal. I want to know some more personal information about what her experience was like. She doesn't tell us this, so this is something that she could really do better. And it's something that a lot of IELTS candidates, a lot of Cambridge exam candidates could also do better. It's all about being open. In a moment, I'm going to invite you to try this for yourself. But before I do that, I want to give you just one quick tip. It's actually quite easy to start to share something personal. Good personal information to share is often a quick story or anecdote about your personal experience. You can introduce this with the very simple phrase, "I remember." This will make you start to tell a story, give personal information, and improve the ideas that you're giving. So that's the theory. Now it's time for you to do a first piece of practice. Use the same 3 questions that I asked Louise and answer them for yourself. Record your answer. You could use your phone or your computer to do this. And then analyze your answer afterwards. Do you give some personal information about your own experience? In the next video, I'll show you some really good language that you can use to introduce these ideas. But for now, just get a basic practice. This activity will give you a really good chance to start to be more open. When you've completed the activity, start the next video, and I'll see you in part 2 of this lesson.